What is going on, Bucs fans and CFP fans? Evan Wanish here, back at you with yet another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today we're going to be going over the studs and duds from the Buccaneers' Week 18 victory, 9-0 over the Carolina Panthers, and clinching their third straight NFC South title, as well as their fourth straight playoff berth. Now, I actually found the stat interesting. Came out Sunday morning that the Buccaneers, with a win, and now it is official because they won, that they are the only team in the NFC to make the playoffs in each of the last 4 seasons. So quite remarkable by the Buccaneers. Congratulations to the entire organization, everyone involved there. And now they get set for a wild card match with the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. But before we get into that, let's review this game here and talk about who were some good and who were some bad on Sunday. And I'm going to be honest, there's not going to be much on the offensive side of the football. The offense did not score a touchdown against the worst team in the NFL. The offense was not very good. Baker Mayfield was not very good. Yes, he was hampered by injuries. But as far as studs, we're not going to see many on the offense. But I am going to give one to Chris Godwin, 6 catches for 51 yards, and he was able to get over 1,000 yards receiving for the season. So shout out to Chris Godwin. Also made some catches down the stretch that really iced the game pretty much. So shout out to Chris Godwin. He was up and down this season, had a roller coaster season, but he has stepped it up lately. That's it. That's going to be it for the offense right now. We're going to move on to the defense for the studs. We're going to start off with Diaby, who had 6 total tackles and including 1 sack, which brings his total for the regular season to 7.5 sacks. So this is a guy who didn't even start at the beginning of the season. Actually, it wasn't even midway through the season. He didn't start until, I believe, week 12 against Indianapolis was when he was named the full-time starter over Tryon-Shoyinka. So to be able to get 7.5 sacks and not playing a complete starter's amount of snaps, very impressive and a really good start to his rookie career. His rookie season should be up for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He should be getting some consideration. Not sure he will, but Diaby has certainly impressed. So I definitely think that he should be, but with 7.5 sacks, he's made an impact. He made an impact yet again on Sunday. So the other one, and I mean, look, this guy's been a stud almost every single week. It's Winfield Jr. 5 total tackles, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. And that forced fumble was massive because it took 7 points off the board. That would have given the Panthers the lead, 7-0. And honestly, if the Panthers score that touchdown, who knows how that game goes at that point? Like, that game could have gone many different ways if the Panthers took the lead there. Instead, it was a huge momentum shift for Tampa Bay. And credit Winfield, who's just having a stellar season. Just been unbelievable. And the fact that he didn't make the Pro Bowl is ridiculous. Not really going to harp on that too much because the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest at the end of the day. But Winfield continues to just be fantastic for the Buccaneers. His stats on the season, he finished with 122 total tackles, 6 sacks for a safety, 6 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions. So we're talking about a guy who has all-pro written all over him and one of, if not the best safety in the NFL, and Winfield Jr. So he's going to get a bag by the Buccaneers. I said this on the game review show, which you can go check out right now. That's live on YouTube or anywhere you listen to a podcast. You can listen to our game review show. Winfield is not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. So even if the Buccaneers have the franchise tag him, he'll be back next year, and he's going to earn every penny there because he has just been unbelievable for the Buccaneers. And Sunday's game was no different. He was all over the field and making an impact in more ways than one. So Winfield with another stud for this week. Going to give another stud here to Tryon-Shoyinka. Now, he's a guy who has not appeared on the studs list, I don't think, at all since we started doing these. He's appeared on the duds list, I think, once or twice. Now, Tryon-Shoyinka didn't make a ton of plays, but he made an impact play late. He had the strip sack of Bryce Young. He had 3 total tackles, 1 sack, and the forced fumble there at the end. So, Tryon-Shoyinka was disappointing this year for sure. And one of the more disappointing players that the Buccaneers had on their defense. But it is nice to see him, with a clean, it's just a clean win against the tackle and get by him, and then able to, strip sack was a big turnover. So he finished the regular season with 43 total tackles and 5 sacks, as well as the 1 forced fumble. So disappointing. And also, like, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka started off fast, actually. He started off pretty well, then just slowed down, lost his starting job to Diaby. And then we know from there that he wasn't really that effective. So Joe Tryon-Shoyinka definitely has improved, I think, a little bit this season. However, it's not enough for a first round pick and somebody that the Buccaneers are relying upon to do big things. They were expecting, what they were expecting out of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, I think, is what they got out of Diaby this year, to be honest with you. And Diaby is obviously a rookie. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is in year 3, going to be entering year 4. So it's kind of time for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to either break through or just be who you are for your career. So, but he is a stud for this week at least. So give him his props there. And then also, I mean, we have to do this, right? This is the biggest stud of the day to me. It's got to be Chase McLaughlin. Chase McLaughlin accounted for all the Buccaneers' points, so including a 57-yard field goal. McLaughlin has been money for the Buccaneers, just absolute money. I think easily the best free agent sign that Jason Light made this past offseason, possibly one of the best free agent signings Jason Light has made in his GM career, to be honest with you. If Chase McLaughlin keeps this up, and let's say, he re-signs with the Buccaneers and he continues this year after year, we could be talking about Chase McLaughlin as one of the best free agent signings that Jason Light has had. McLaughlin was incredible this entire season. He was incredible on Sunday, and the Buccaneers may have 2 or 3 less wins without that guy. He's been that clutch for him. Makes a big kick in this one. Makes a big kick against Minnesota, obviously. I believe he made a big kick against Atlanta as well in that earlier matchup in week 13, I believe. So just has been money in all situations. Perfect on extra points this year. Finished the regular season not missing a single extra point. So that is just massive for the Bucs. And I believe he's missed 2 field goals or 3 field goals, and at least 2 of them, I believe, were blocked. So it's not even like they're straight up misses. McLaughlin's been awesome for the Bucs, and they need to find a way to re-sign that guy. So with that being said, let's go to the duds. And I'm going to say Baker Mayfield is a dud. 20 of 32, 137 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, passer rating of 72.0. Look, I get it. He's not 100% healthy. At the same time, if you're healthy enough to be out there, you're expected to play and you're expected to perform, right? At the end of the day, that's just what it is. And Baker Mayfield didn't play well enough. And you can get by, I think, with a 2-14, now 2-15 team that the Panthers are, the worst team in the NFL. But are you going to be able to get by that even with the struggling Philadelphia Eagles next week? I don't know. I think Baker Mayfield is going to have to be much better in this game. I think he's going to have to be better in this game than he was in week 3 when these 2 teams last played. So Baker Mayfield is a dud for me. I'm not like overly concerned because I do think, he had the rib thing, but then he also had the ankle thing during the game. I know he's hobbled. At the same time, though, there was a few poor decisions that he made that has nothing to do with an injury. And you're hoping for a more productive and consistent performance out of him next week. So, I mean, other than that, I don't really think there's any clear duds here on offense. They just didn't really play great. I mean, Cody Mauch, I guess you could say, is a dud, got beat pretty bad for a sack. Derek Brown got him pretty good. You could say he's a dud, but don't want to harp on anything too much. Now I will say, going to the defensive side of the football, one dud that I do have is Shaq Barrett. And I do think that, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, I might have said it even on the game review, I do think Shaq Barrett's time in Tampa Bay is coming to an end. I don't believe he will be on the team next year. And look, he just looks like a shell of his former self. And he's had, with that major injury that he had last season, and then the off season that he had, just a complete nightmare. And nobody's faulted him for that, right? That's out of his control. That's beyond football, right? That's not anything to do with anything about football. But again, you're out there and you're expected to perform, and it does suck that it's turned out this way. But he's just, for the price tag that he has and the money he'd be making, he's just not quite worth it anymore. So unfortunately, I do think the Buccaneers are going to look to move on in the offseason, probably cut him as a post June 1 designation. That way they save a little bit of money. So I just don't think Shaq Barrett is going to be back on this team. He hasn't been effective, and I think they're going to look to get younger, little bit more explosive there, as the pass rush has struggled a little bit this season. So we will see what the future holds for Shaq Barrett and the Buccaneers. But for now, unfortunately, I will say it's probably coming to an end. But a great Bucs career. Like I said, that, to this date, I mean, one of the best free agent signings Jason Light has made has been Shaq Barrett on a 1-year deal for $4 million way back in 2019. So Barrett has definitely had the return of investment on that. However, I think it's time to move on probably. And then also, like, I guess I'll give a slight dud to Jake Camarda. He had a few nice punts, but then he also had a few punts where it was just not very good. And people were asking me actually during the game, like, what's going on with him? And I don't know. Like, he might just have the yips. So keep an eye on that. You definitely don't want special teams mistakes in the playoffs. That could really hurt you. So keep an eye on Camarda there, and just hopefully he can bounce back. So, but that is the studs and duds there for this week. The Buccaneers are NFC South champions for yet another season, third straight season. That is a record. They've never won it back-to-back. Now they're just continuing to pile onto that record. Fourth straight playoff berth. That is not a record. I believe it ties the franchise record. They've never made it 5 straight times, so maybe next year. But let me know who your studs and duds are. I'm always curious to hear your list. I'm always curious to hear what you think about my list. Look, my list isn't the right list. It's just my list. So I am curious and excited to hear what you guys think, what you guys saw on Sunday during the game. Please don't forget to check out the latest show of the Cannon Fire podcast, our game review, talking about the Carolina Panthers game, talking about what the future could hold for Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield. Was a massive win for both of them, right? Massive win for both. What that holds for them, winning the NFC South for a third straight year. And we also took some calls, had some super chats. It was a great time. So go check that out. And you can also listen to that on the audio form anywhere you listen to a podcast. Be sure to check out all of our content coming up this week, playoff week, of course, leading up to the game on Monday night. So with that being said, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go Bucs.